Hello, what's up guys? Evildoers Time here today, back with another Black Desert video. In today's video, finally, after 2 years, we're going to be making an infinite HP potion guide. So for those of you that don't watch my live streams or weren't there 2 weeks ago, finally, after like 30 weeks of grinding for this thing, I got the final piece to drop here at the Sherkan Necropolis, so pretty exciting for me, and you know what that means for you. You could finally get a guide on it. So quickly before we get into it and walking through how to get it and all those important things that you want to know about this potion grind, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. It helps to grow the channel, you stay up to date with new content, and we both win. And without further ado, let's get into it and talk about what the infinite potion is. So if you're new to Black Desert or you haven't heard about the infinite potion before, essentially what this thing is exactly as it says. An HP potion that can be used an infinite number of times without being depleted. So unlike HP potions that you'd have to purchase from vendors or from your tent or the central market, you can just put this in your inventory and constantly use it without having to worry about it. Pretty neat. Awesome for things like hunting or grinding higher level areas or even PvP. Now, as you can see from this infographic here, there are a lot of different things you're going to need to get to put this pot together. This infographic itself that kind of gives you a good summary of it is a part of Perlibus's official post on the Infinite Pot, and I will link this in the description below if you want to follow some sort of like text write-up version of this, but I think the video will be pretty clear. But anyway, a lot of different items you're going to need, and those are going to require some serious grinding. So for me personally, it took me about 32 to 35-ish hours of grinding in this game to pick up all the items that I needed to put this together for this video, and I spread that across 30 weeks doing about an hour every single weekend. So if you wanted to be a little bit more diligent than me, you could probably knock it out just a bit faster than 30 weeks. You'll see why I did it weekly as we get further through the video here, but if you are more of a person that enjoys grinding in this game, you'll probably knock it out a bit quicker than 30 weeks. Personally, I like to do life skills, so that's why it took me so long. Anyway, for the HP potion, these items that you're going to need from the grinding side of it are the Sherkan's Paneka, the Ash Half Moon Cactanuk, and the Ron's Tintin... that thing. And these items come from 3 grind zones, respectively. The Sherkan Necropolis, located here in Drigan, just to the side of Duvenkroon. Bloodwolf Settlement, which is located up and to the right of Duvenkroon. And Tooth Fairy Forest, which is actually the Forest Renaros area, located right here. So each of these pieces drops from those locations, and within those locations, these pieces in particular drop from specific mobs. If you press the H key on the keyboard, you can bring up the Knowledge menu here, and from the Knowledge menu, you can uncheck the Ecology tab, scroll down to the Ecology of Camisylvia, and then open up the Forest Renaros area to see the various mobs of that area. The one that you're looking for is the Forest Renaros Catcher, that has the higher probability of dropping the item. In the Cagtum region, you're looking for the Cagtum Executioner. And at the Sherkan Necropolis, you're looking for the 2 mobs Belixis and Garud. Do note that if you're doing the Sherkan Necropolis at night, it will drop from all of these mobs, but if you're doing it from the day, it is only these 2. Now the reason I bring up the H menu for this is because in the H menu, you can click on any one of these different mobs and mark it as tracking. So if you mark the mob as tracking, it will show up on your minimap in blue. So if you look at my minimap, you can see that there are various mobs in blue. So those are the mob that I'm looking for in particular. The Forest Renaros Catcher has been highlighted in blue. You can use this feature for any of these different locations to help you find the specific mobs you need to kill in order to get the full-on drop. Now, in addition to the full-on drops that you can obtain for these regions, there are additionally these items that are affectionately known as pity pieces. So for example, there's this item right here called the Bloodwolf's Oath. This is the pity piece for the Ash Half Moon Cactanuk. If you obtain 100 of these pity pieces, you can exchange them for the actual piece that you're looking for. So think of this as sort of like an insurance type policy that you're guaranteed to get your item after some amount of time of grinding, even if you don't get the full-on drop. Now these pity pieces themselves can drop from any mob in the region. So for example, if I killed this entire little pack here, there is some discrete probability that I would get one of those items, one of the pity pieces. It's a very low probability, but there is a chance that it could happen. So ideally when you're over here grinding at one of these locations, you should be trying to kill as many of the mobs that you end up highlighting in the blue, as well as picking up as many mobs as you can just in general around the way. And I have no combat gear on right now, so I'm kind of flirting with death right now. So pretty straightforward, kill stuff, get either those pity pieces or the full-on dropped piece. Specifically for each area, the Dragon Fang is associated with the Sherkan Paneka, the Bloodwolf's Oaths are associated with the Ash Half Moon Cactanuk, and the Tranquil Tinulum is associated with the Ron's Tindimnum. Now, just to kind of give you an idea of how many things you can expect to drop per hour while you're out grinding, I pulled up my Tooth Fairy Forest one, so the Forest Renaros area that I'm sitting in right now. This is Garmoth.com. I used it to track the majority of my runs here at Tooth Fairy Forest. I skipped a couple of them. But you can see that anywhere for any of these hour sessions, I was dropping right around 2 of them an hour, other than this one session that was absolutely bonkers. So anywhere from like 2 to 4 on average in there. Again, kind of dependent on what level of buffs I had running at the time as well. You can see that there's different percentages and whatnot. And additionally, you can see I was making around 400 million silver an hour while doing these grinding. So I think I beat it down here pretty good. You're going to go to the spot and kill stuff to get the items that you need. Now there's one more thing that I haven't mentioned though. If you press the M key on the keyboard to bring up the map and click on the little icon for any one of these different areas, so in this case I'm at Forest Renaro, so let's click on that one, it'll bring up the Forest Renaros region. From here, you should see an option that says Weekly Quest. This weekly quest is available at each of these different locations. So for example, this is the one that's available here at Forest Renaros. If I head on over to say the Sherikan Necropolis right here and click on that icon, you'll see that it has its own weekly quest, Weekly Dragon's Fang. And the same situation goes for the Bloodwolf Settlement, so Bloodwolf's Oath right here. Again, since I'm already in Forest Renaros, let's bring this one back up and click on this quest. It's going to send you to an NPC, and if you visit that NPC, they will have a series of quests, and one of those quests should say weekly and then the item that we're trying to farm here. In this case, it's the weekly quest for this item to create the thing that I can't pronounce. And completing this quest will require you to kill several mobs. For this one, it's 3,500. It's different for each of these different locations. And for completing that quest, the game will give you 5 of the pity pieces, so essentially 5% of the way towards your pot piece, which means that after 20 weeks, you're guaranteed to get at least one of these pieces. So you can kind of see why I did this every single week instead of doing it all at once. I just stretched it out over a couple of weeks and worked towards it slowly, because every single week I would just have to go grind for, say, hour and a half, kill all the mobs I needed to, get guaranteed 5 of the pity pieces, plus whatever I happened to get from additional grinding for the day. Do note that this weekly quest can only be completed once for any of these. So like if you pick up this quest here at the Forest Renaros area, you cannot do the quest over at Bloodwolf Settlement. You are limited to 1 of these quests per week. But I'm going to go ahead and abandon that quest because I don't need it no more. There's also one more way to get additional pieces here, and this one's kind of cheeky. If you click on the progression pass up at the top, go to the PvE section, you will see that there are quests here that you can complete for defeating mobs. So for defeating mobs, for example, at the Sherikan Necropolis, completing this would give me 1 of the pity pieces at Sherikan Necropolis. So this is a free one that the game pretty much gives you for killing 10 mobs at each of these locations. Make sure to redeem this one. It gives you 1% closer to being done with this thing. So now a couple more clerical things before we move on to the next step. Obviously, you're going to want to maximize your drop rate when you're out grinding for these. These are affected by drop rate. Having a higher drop rate will supposedly give you more of these when you're out grinding per unit time that you spend grinding. From personal experience, sometimes it don't feel like that, but it's supposed to increase your rate, so higher drop rate will help you to get more of these overall in the long run. Another thing that comes up every once in a while are treasure drop rate events. So these give you a 50% drop rate increase, as well as alternate locations that you can farm each of these different items. So specifically, we're talking about the HP potion, and it adds different locations during the event period where you can farm these. These events run maybe once every couple of months. We just had one a couple of weeks ago from the time I'm recording this video, so probably won't have one for a little bit, but I do want to cover it. Anytime that these come up in the patches, I cover it in my patch notes videos, so if you subscribe to the channel, you'll stay up to date whenever these go live. So anyway, kind of cool, and I guess if you're going for like the mana pot too, it adds hunting to it, so that it's pretty cool. Just something to keep in mind whenever you see those drop rate events. Sometimes they have these treasure alternate location events with them. But once you've done it and gone ahead and suffered through either getting the full-on piece to drop, so you can see in my storage out here in Ariaza Town, I have the full-on piece for each of these ones right here, as well as the pity count. So if you get 100 pity pieces, which I also have 100 Bloodwolf's Oaths, you need to head on over to an NPC located in Camisylvia, and that NPC is going to be Mirandora. And you can use the Find NPC function to try and find them as well if you don't know where they are. MERIN should bring them up pretty quick. You can use the Find NPC function, click on it, and it'll path you to that NPC. And once we arrive at Mirandora, there's a couple of different things we're going to have to do depending on how we farmed up this item. So we'll start off with first if you got 100 of the pity pieces. In this case, I have 100 Bloodwolf's Oaths on me. So if this is the way you had to do it and you didn't get the full piece to drop, and you want to exchange those 100 pieces for the full piece, this is how you do it. Start by interacting with Mirandora and clicking on the chat option. At the bottom of the chat option, you should see some sort of like exchangey arrow shape. If you click on that, spam on through this, you'll get an item into your inventory. So in this case, it's the Crimson Breath of blah blah. I missed it when it came up, but if I hover it on my inventory, it should be right there. Crimson Breath of Resentment. What you need to do now is press the L key on the keyboard to perform Simple Alchemy on the Bloodwolf's items. So L key, Simple Alchemy, the Blood Wolves, Oaths, as well as the Crimson Breath of Resentment. Perform simple alchemy on that and click the Start button. This will combine it, ultimately, into the full piece, the Ash Half Moon Cactanuk. So repeat this process for any of the ones that you got 100 pities of them. So any of the ones that you had to get the full 100 out of, do that process. Now once you have at least one of these pieces, so you don't have to do all of these at once, as soon as you have the first one of these full-on pieces in your inventory, you can head on back to Marindora and click on the chat option. So in the chat option, now you're going to see something that says Show Marindora the Sacred Relic. If you click on that button, and then open up your inventory, you will see an Everlasting Water has been added into your inventory. What you're going to have to do is uncheck the auto arrange button and close your eyes because my inventory is going to get real bad. Find those two items and align them in a line next to each other, and you'll see a little plus button that'll show up. Go ahead and click on the plus button, and that will create the first item, the Blessed Spirit's Essence. So the Blessed Spirit's Essence is a level 1 infinite HP potion in this case. It recovers 125 HP instead of the full 275, and think of this as like your sort of like starter level for your potion. You're going to build the higher levels off of this one, so this is kind of like your tier 1 infinite HP potion. This can be used right now. You could use it as is, as a 125 HP potion. It has unlimited uses and a 2-second cooldown. What I'm going to do is throw it on my hotbar just to show you how it works. I've set it to 8, and I guess I'll take off my chest piece to lower my HP, and then put my chest piece back on. So you can see that I've got some delta of HP right there. If I just hit 8, you'll see that it's on a 2-second cooldown, and I can just spam it to recover my HP until I'm back up to full. So pretty neat. Infinite HP potion has infinite uses, and that's level 1 done. So that's how we exchange with pities to get the pieces to turn them into the potions. What if we got the full-on drop? So in this case, the Ancient Ash Half Moon Cactanuk. Same piece I just used, except this is the real drop instead of the pity drop. If I go up to that same NPC, Marindora, and click on the Exchange tab, I can exchange the Ancient piece for the Ash Half Moon Cactanuk, which will just go through right away. I can then click on the chat option, show the Sacred Relic, which will give me another one of those Everlasting Waters. I can then drag both of these items down in my inventory, align them, and perform the little combine button to turn it into a second one of the same little mini pot potion that I have. And this process is going to be the same for every other piece you do, so whether you do it through pities or through this exchange process, it's going to be the same as what I've already showed you here. You just repeat the same process. So in my case, I'm just going to exchange the two of these into the piece that I need. So we have level 1 pot obtained both ways. We also now have our upgrade materials for the rest of these. How do we go to level 2? Level 2 is actually super easy. All you're going to do is take one of the ones you haven't used yet, drag it next to the pot that we already made, and click the plus button. It's that simple. It's now the level 2 infinite HP potion, just like that. No tricks, nothing crazy. Just drag them and combine. So HP recovery plus 200 now instead of 125 works exactly the same as we've already showed. The final one, however, isn't quite as easy. We're going to need a few more items. First, you're going to need 30 Garmoth scales, which I have hovered right now. Garmoth scales are going to be obtained while you're out grinding at these various locations, so make sure to save 30 of these from your grinding sessions. If you don't, though, they're usually pretty available on the Central Marketplace. Right now there's 700 of them in stock on the NA Marketplace, so you just need 30 of these. And then the second item that you're going to need is going to be 300 Peridot leaves, so I have them right here. And Peridot leaves are a bit trickier to come by, but they're not terrible. What you're going to get these from is completing quests in the Camisylvia region. So for example, the same NPC that gave you the quest at Forest Naros is also going to have quests that you can do that give you these Peridot leaves. You can do them there, you can do ones in Fattest Habitat, you can do them all over the world of Camisylvia. Playing through the Camisylvia storyline gives you a bunch of them. You probably have a ton of these sitting in your storages or different characters from playing through the main storyline and didn't really know what to do with them. But once you have both of those in your inventory, so 30 Garmoth scales, 300 Peridot leaves, plus the Greater Blessed Spirit essence that we just made, and the final pot piece that we haven't used yet, go ahead and talk to that same NPC we've been dealing with, Marindora, click on the quest tab, and you want the quest Ornette Spirit Essence. Accept that quest and continue on through with that, which is going to allow you to complete the next portion. And that next portion starts by finding this NPC, Moyamo, located just below the city of Grana, so the Okiara River node. If you just have your map, this is generally where you need to go. They're sitting on a rock right in the middle of this little three-way meeting point here. If you interact with that NPC, click on the chat option, you will see the option called Sound Stone. You need to accept that quest, and I'm also going to get the knowledge while I'm here. But that's going to give you the first item we need, the Musical Spirit Sound Stone. We'll add that down to the bottom of our menu here, and head off to the next NPC, and this one's a bit easier to find. If you've ever followed my leveling guides, we're heading over to the Sharecrown Necropolis, specifically Camira, the NPC located at the Sharecrown Necropolis. Now if we interact with them and click on the chat option, we will see the option that says Courage Stone. So same situation, just go ahead and click on that to exchange it. And that will give us the other item that we need, the Courage Stone. Now if we go ahead and drag that back down, bring it in line with these items here, and if we just guess until we figure out the right orientation. Look, I got it first try. There's the orientation. But if you arrange them in this order in your inventory, hit the little plus button, you will have completed the final pot piece Ornette Spirit Essence, which is the full-on infinite pot. You'll get a pop-up on the screen up there, and it'll show it up there. So that's it. Completed the full-on pot, 275 HP recovery, duration of 2 seconds, and we have done it. So yeah, congrats, you have your infinite pot now. Now there's one more thing that I want to throw in there, just because, you know, that's the kind of guy I am. Let's say you screwed up accidentally and you made 2 of these by combining the wrong pieces, or you screwed up somewhere along the lane or something like that. If you press the L key to open up the Simple Alchemy tab, you can take this initial starting pot and put it into the Simple Alchemy tab and click the Start button, which will take it apart. So in a couple of seconds here, assuming I don't fail the Alchemy proc, there it goes, you will get the thing split back out into the original item. So you'll get that original item that you used, which in my case was the Ash Half Moon Cactinux. So if you accidentally made 2 of those, definitely want to make sure you make your full pot, not 2 small pots. So just want to point that out. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the video now. So now I have my infinite HP potion. I can go to my fairy, go to my potion settings, and choose the Ornette potion as my user, and just always use it now. I don't have to worry about conserving income. So pretty cool, exciting. If this is going to help you out here, let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you have ideas for other videos that you want to see, also let me know. Love to hear it. If you're new to my channel, again, please consider subscribing. I got a ton of guides on Black Desert. And also, I'd love to see you at a live stream over on the weekend. So yeah, feel free to tune in. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you at the next live stream, YouTube video right here, or wherever I happen to see you. Peace.